Attention passionate Detroit, Lions fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Detroit Lions' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Detroit Lions fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Detroit Lions fans. Let's get to the news now, folks. If you've been paying attention to the NFL landscape lately, you know that the Detroit Lions are no longer just the lovable underdogs. They're becoming a serious contender, a team that's making waves not only in the NFC North but across the entire league. And one of the biggest stories right now that could shake things up even more is the possibility of the Lions making a blockbuster move to acquire one of the league's premier edge rushers, TJ Watt. Yes, you heard that right. TJ Watt, the 7-time Pro Bowler, the Steelers' defensive anchor, might soon be playing in Detroit. And believe me, that would be a game changer for this franchise. So let's set the stage here. The Lions have been building something special over the past few seasons. They've got a solid foundation, a talented roster, and a coaching staff that's proven they can develop players and scheme to win. But when it comes to the defense, especially the pass rush, they've often fallen just short of elite status. That's where Watt would come into play. He's not just an ordinary pass rusher, he's a top-tier, game-wrecking talent. With his ability to rush the quarterback, create turnovers, and set the tone for the entire defense, adding Watt would elevate the Lions' defense from good to great almost overnight. Now, it's important to understand the context. The Steelers are currently in a contract standoff with Watt. And if you've been following the NFL news cycle, you know that Watt has been notably absent from the Steelers' mandatory minicamp, which is a clear sign of tension. He's holding out, and that's not just for fun, he's trying to send a message. The Steelers, a franchise known for their stability and loyalty to their stars, are in a tricky spot. Watt is a franchise player, a face of the team, and they're not exactly eager to trade him unless they absolutely have to. It's a delicate negotiation, and right now, Watt has all the leverage. He's made it clear that he's willing to hold out through training camp if necessary, which could force the Steelers' hand. The NFL's a business, and sometimes these standoff situations lead to surprises. But here's the thing, how likely is it that Watt actually gets traded? Well, the odds aren't great, but they're not zero either. The Steelers value Watt immensely, and losing him would be a huge blow to their defense and their identity. Still, if Watt remains firm and refuses to come back to camp, and the Steelers decide they don't want to risk losing him for nothing, they might consider trading him. That's where the Lions come into the picture. According to betting odds, Detroit is among the favorites to land Watt if he does leave Pittsburgh. In fact, they sit at around plus 600, just behind the San Francisco 49ers plus 400, and the Philadelphia Eagles plus 300. That's pretty significant when you think about it. From an outside perspective, it's easy to see why the Lions are in the mix. They've been actively improving their roster, especially on defense. Last offseason, they made a strategic move by releasing Zadarius Smith, a veteran pass rusher who had been a key contributor. The team's primary edge rusher last season, outside of Smith, was Aiden Hutchinson. And while Hutchinson is a rising star, an absolute monster on the field, he's still coming back from a serious injury. That leaves the Lions in need of that extra firepower, that elite edge rush talent that can turn games around by itself. Enter TJ Watt. Imagine the Lions with Watt and Hutchinson rushing the passer side by side. That's a double threat that offenses would have nightmares about. It would instantly transform their defense into one of the league's most formidable units. And for a team that's been knocking on the door of the playoffs, and even the Super Bowl in recent years, that kind of reinforcement could be exactly what they need to take the next step toward winning it all. The Lions have been building a culture of winning, and adding a player of Watt's caliber would send a message that they're not just here to compete, they're here to dominate. But as always in the NFL, there are hurdles. First and foremost, the cost. Acquiring Watt wouldn't come cheap. The Steelers would likely want a hefty price, probably a first-round pick or multiple picks, along with a significant contract extension. And that's where things get complicated. The Lions, under GM Brad Holmes, have shown that they're strategic with their cap space and draft capital. They've been smart about not overspending in free agency and building through the draft, so making a move like this might seem out of character. especially considering Watt's contract demands, which could be around $35 to $40 million per year. That's a huge commitment, especially for a team that's still balancing its salary cap and roster needs. Holmes himself has been pretty transparent about the team's financial limits. He's admitted that they couldn't afford to keep Zadarius Smith at his current contract, which gives some insight into their approach. While fans might dream of adding Watt, the reality is that the Lions have to be cautious, smart, and patient. The NFL is all about timing, and sometimes the biggest moves happen when you least expect them, but right now, it seems unlikely that Detroit would pull the trigger on such a high-profile trade, especially given their current cap situation. That said, it's not impossible. The NFL has a way of surprising us all. Teams that are considered out of the race suddenly make a push for a star player late in the offseason, and the Lions are no strangers to being opportunistic. They're a franchise that's been on the rise, with a young core led by Aiden Hutchinson, Jameson Williams, and Jared Goff playing some of the best football of his career. The defense is also improving under the guidance of coach Aaron Glenn, who's been emphasizing creating turnovers and pressure on the quarterback. Adding Watt would be the ultimate piece, a cherry on top of an already promising roster. But let's be real, if Watt stays with the Steelers, or if the Steelers decide not to trade him, the Lions will have to look elsewhere. They've already made some smart moves in the draft, bringing in young talent along the defensive line and linebacker core. Their focus this offseason has been on bolstering the trenches, which is crucial for controlling the game and establishing a balanced attack on both sides of the ball. The draft picks and free agent signings have shown that Holmes and the coaching staff are committed to building a sustainable winner. Still, the allure of Watt's talent is undeniable. It's the kind of move that could propel the Lions from playoff contenders to Super Bowl favorites. Now, let's not forget about the other factors involved. The NFL trade market is unpredictable, and teams often hold their cards close to their vest. The Steelers are known for their loyalty and stability, but they also understand the business side of things. If Watt insists on holding out and the Steelers see no viable way to keep him happy, a trade could become inevitable. And in that scenario, Detroit's name will be front and center, with fans dreaming about a defensive line that's almost unstoppable. But beyond just the trade rumors, what truly excites Lions fans is the trajectory of this team. They've already shown significant improvement over the past couple of seasons, and with Jared Goff playing some of the best football of his life, the offense is clicking. The addition of a top-tier receiver or a veteran cornerback would solidify their status as playoff contenders, but the defense has always been the question mark. That's why Watt's potential arrival is so electrifying. It could be the piece that makes the difference in tight playoff games, in late-game situations, and in making the Lions a feared team across the league. And let's talk about the NFC North for a moment. This division is becoming more competitive every year, with the Vikings, Bears, and Packers all trying to find their footing. The Lions, with their young core, are poised to be at the top for years to come. Adding a player like Watt would not only improve their defense, but also serve as a statement to the rest of the division. It's a signal that Detroit is serious about competing at the highest level, that they're ready to take on the giants of the league and come out on top. Of course, as fans, we always need to keep our feet on the ground. The NFL is a complex puzzle, and not every dream move comes to fruition. But the mere possibility of Watt wearing Honolulu blue, that's enough to get any Lions fans' heart pounding. It's a reminder that this team is on the rise, that the front office is willing to make bold moves, and that the best is yet to come. As the season approaches, all eyes will be on Watt, the Steelers, and the Lions, waiting to see how this story unfolds. Will we see him in Detroit? Will the Steelers hold firm? Only time will tell, but one thing is for sure. It's one of the most exciting storylines in the NFL right now, and Lions fans should be thrilled about the possibilities. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Detroit Lions news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. Looking even further into the Lions' outlook, the team's recent draft choices have been focused on building a defense that can compete with the best. They've drafted high-upside players along the defensive line and linebacker positions, emphasizing speed, strength, and versatility. The coaching staff, led by Dan Campbell, has been relentless in instilling a culture of toughness, resilience, and relentless effort. This is a team that's clearly on the rise, and the addition of a star like Watt could accelerate that process exponentially. You've also seen the Lions making strategic moves in free agency. They've been cautious but effective, bringing in veteran leaders and players who fit their system. Their cap management has been smart, avoiding overextending financially, which means they could have some flexibility if a trade for Watt became feasible. But again, the question remains, is adding Watt worth the hefty price? Would it be a move that makes sense long-term for a team still in the process of establishing its core? That's the debate among fans and analysts alike. And don't forget, Watt's impact isn't just about sacks or pressures. It's about leadership, presence, and the intimidation factor he brings to the field. His work ethic, his professionalism, and his ability to elevate the play of teammates are qualities that can't always be measured in stats alone. For a young Lions defense that's still developing, having a player of Watt's caliber could serve as a catalyst for growth, pushing everyone to perform at their best. As we look at the big picture, it's clear that the Lions are positioning themselves for a serious run. They're not content with just making the playoffs, they want to contend for the Super Bowl. And in today's NFL, that kind of ambition often requires bold moves. Whether or not they pull the trigger on a trade for Watt, the message is loud and clear. Detroit is here to compete, and they're not backing down from the challenge. So, Lions fans, what do you think? Is Watt the missing piece? Do you believe he'll end up in Detroit or stay with the Steelers? Are the odds right, or are you betting on a different outcome? I want to hear all your thoughts in the comments below because your opinions are what make this community so special. And remember, this story is still unfolding, so stay tuned for more updates, rumors, and expert analysis as we get closer to the NFL season. The Lions are on the rise, and with every game, every move, they're proving they belong among the league's elite. The future is bright, and whether Watt joins or not, one thing is for sure, Detroit's time is coming. Thanks for sticking with me through this deep dive into one of the most exciting potential moves in recent NFL history. Your passion keeps the Lions' spirit alive, and I can't wait to bring you more news, more insights, and more reasons to be proud of this incredible team. And now, Detroit Lions fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Detroit Lions. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Detroit Lions news. Let's keep the passion alive, and as always, go Lions!